Hi friends, Simit here from informedtrades.com. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about Market Traders Institute. They're a provider of trading education. I went to a webinar that they conducted online. The webinar was about an hour and a half. Some of it, I'll give a brief review of that. The one thing I did learn in that webinar was a strategy for trading Fibonacci retracements and extensions. I thought that was pretty interesting. There's a video on our YouTube channel, on the Informed Trades YouTube channel, that covers that strategy, how to use Fibonacci retracements and extensions to trade an uptrend or trade a downtrend. Just inverse it. That was interesting. The presenter of the webinar, his name is Shawn Beecher. He went through the Fibonacci strategy. His approach combines technicals with fundamentals. I thought he had some good insight on Syria, how to trade it, good insight on the yen. We've covered a lot of information on the yen that he was, and what the analysis of the yen with their, them running, Japan's economy running twin deficits, budget and trade deficit, and the impact that'll have on the yen in the long term. That was something that he touched upon in his webinar. So I thought he was credible in that regard. I thought Market Traders Institute and Shawn Beecher, who was presenting on their behalf, were credible in the fundamental analysis they presented and in the technical strategies that they covered in the webinar. So that was what I thought was good. The course that they're promoting is $7,000, so that's definitely going to be steep. My personal opinion is that whatever you pay for education, you should have, 5, 7, 10 times as much capital that you can put into actually trading. Obviously there'll be lots of people who will disagree with that. That's just my personal preference. So at 7,000, even if you just want 5 times the capital, that means $35,000 that you can comfortably put into forex trading. So obviously the course will be, or their education services will be more expensive than many people can afford. Their services do come with signals, and you have mentorship. It's a really robust package where there's a whole bunch of static content. There's interaction with an instructor who you can check in with daily, and there's trading signals. Probably, all of that was, I did not, even the $7,000 price tag, I know there's some services out there that are even more expensive and, could be worth it if you're going to, if that much money is not that significant to you, or if the quality is sufficient where you're going to make that money back. All these education services you sort of need to view as an investment. What I found most disturbing and problematic was not so much the price tag, but was, in the trade examples they presented in the webinar, they were using 50-to-1 leverage as the example. I thought, I've never seen anyone use 50-to-1 leverage. And I was asking questions as to, how can you do this? How do you, what's the win rate and where are you putting the stop? Because if you're using, the more leverage you want to use, the less of a margin for error there is. So if you're using 50-to-1, which is an extreme amount of leverage, you basically need to have a win rate of over 90%, or your stop has to be so tight, like a few pips away, basically. Which is, so basically, like I said, the margin of error is very small. I did not get a satisfactory answer as to how they were using 50-to-1 leverage in their examples justifiably. I talked to them on the phone after, one of the representatives on the phone afterwards, and I didn't really find a satisfactory explanation. And I didn't think the risk of using 50-to-1 leverage was fully expressed in the webinar. So that to me was a significant turn-off in a way. I think any experienced trader, and if they are using 50-to-1 leverage, at the very least, if they are using it credibly, I think they should, disclaim it like, hey, I know no one uses 50-to-1 leverage. Here's how we're actually using it responsibly. So that's my basic review. $7,000 price tag. I was a little disappointed and alarmed by their lack of emphasis on the extreme leverage that they were incorporating in their examples in the webinar. Those are some of the negatives or the turnoffs. On the positive side, the Fibonacci strategy that we have a video on Informed Trades YouTube channel was, I thought that was pretty legit strategy. Maybe something that I'll be, using more of and looking to incorporate into my own trading. And the fundamental analysis I thought was insightful regarding the situation in Syria and the yen that they talked about. So that's my basic review there. If you have any questions, any opinions, any experiences you've had with Market Traders Institute, feel free to share them on Informed Trades. Thanks and best of luck in your trade.